pay for an employee leaving the business may involve additional payments. These should be advised to you by the accountant together with specific tax amounts that relate to them. You should set up relevant payroll items for these payments before you start the termination process. Go to Administration, Settings, and under Payroll Settings, select Pay Items. Click Add. Leave the pay item type as Earnings. For the earnings type, select Termination. Any item created with this selection will appear on the ETP payment summary and not the ordinary INB payment summary. Enter a name for the item, a description, select the relevant expense account, and select the termination type, for example, all other termination payments. Repeat this for any other payroll items you may need for this termination and not already created, like for the tax-free component of a genuine redundancy, which will appear in Lump Sum D on the INB payment summary. For pay item type, select Earnings. For the earnings type, select Variable. Give it a name like tax-free redundancy, a description, a pay rate basis of other, select the appropriate expense account, and for the tax applicable, select tax-free. Click Save and Close. You should also check the employee record and ensure all details are correctly added, like address, correct start date, tax file number, and tax scales. To terminate your employee, go to Payroll, Employees, select the employee, and click on the Employment tab. In the Important Dates area, enter the termination date. You will then be prompted to select the reason for termination. Select the reason that applies to this termination as advised to you. Then click Yes, Create Pay Run to start an unscheduled pay run. Click on the employee in this termination pay. This pay will automatically include any outstanding annual leave and long service leave owed to this employee that will appear in Lump Sum A and B on the INB payment summary. It will also include their regular wage payroll items. If you have already paid the employee their final regular pay, you can remove their regular wage items from the pay by clicking the X on the far right of the row. Next, add additional termination payroll items that apply to this pay by clicking on Add New Row and selecting the relevant items. Enter the amount being paid against these payroll items. Next, you will need to enter the taxes on the payroll items of the earnings type termination that will appear on the ETP payment summary. This does not include unused leave items, tax-free component of redundancy payments, and back pay from an earlier financial year. Scroll down to the tax area. You will see gross earnings and termination. Click Details next to Termination. You need to enter the tax amount for each tax status and ETP code used in this termination. This should be provided to you by your accountant. Click Add New Row and enter the taxable component amount and select the appropriate ETP code like R for redundancy and the applicable tax amount calculated by your accountant. Click Add New Row and enter another taxable component amount if another ETP code applies, like O for Other. You will need to add a tax-free component if your termination involves a death benefit, disability benefit, or a pre-1983 tax-free component. Check with your accountant if you need clarification. When all items have been added, make sure the amounts in the taxable component column and the tax-free component column equals the amount on the line Total Termination Payments, excluding leave paid on termination. When all is correct, click on Save and Close to return to the pay run screen. Scroll to the top of the screen and click on the Termination Pay link at the top left. Click Actions and finish pay run. Your termination is now been processed. You can print or email the payslip to your employee from this screen. In your nominated bank account to pay payroll, you'll see the entry for the termination transaction. Finally, you'll need to make a year-to-date setup entry for any tax-free component for a genuine redundancy payment. Go to Administration, Settings, Payroll Settings and Year-to-Date Setup. Click on the Payment Summary tab and then Add Payment Summary Balances. Click on Add New Row, select the employee. For type, select INB. For category, select Lump Sum D. For pay period end date, enter the last day worked, and finally the amount. Click Save and Close. You can now create the payment summaries by going to Payroll and INB Payment Summaries and ETP Payment Summaries. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions, please go to reckon.com/support.